Yeah, thank you for the question, and thank you so much for your service to help protect the
Hi there, and welcome to Canceling COVID. How's everybody on this beautiful Tuesday? So glad to be joining you all as usual. Get an opportunity to talk to you and just bring you information about what's happening with Canceling COVID. As I always greet you in the spirit of letting you know how grateful we are for our sponsors. I want to always acknowledge their support of this show. It's so important that they believe in what we're doing and always there to show support, which is so important. So I want to say thank you to Mecklenburg County Public Health, mecnc.gov, mecnc.gov, 980-314-9400. And also thank you to Groundwater Solutions, groundwater-solutions.org, 704-596-0505. Now, we're trying some new things out. You might hear a little bit of some audio in the back as I try to figure out how not to just do a cold stop on my music and bring it up a little bit more softer. Maybe you can hear this acoustic music in the background because we are kind of settling down with this COVID thing. Things are starting to look up, so let's stay encouraged. Of course, not ready to do some dancing just yet, but certainly happy of the progress that we're starting to make. Let's start by talking about the numbers for yesterday. Right here in our state, 909 newly reported cases of COVID-19, 1,618 currently hospitalized, and 22,570 total deaths. 6% daily percent positive rate, which are good numbers. I believe we were striving for anything under 10%. So I think that's encouraging as well. You know, I can't hold these conversations alone. I just appreciate you hopping on. Some of the things we'll talk about today will include immunity and an update from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. And also, they're going to touch on, you know, the booster and another variant because we want to keep you educated, which is so important. But I can't do this without bringing on my good friend and the professional always that loves you, loves the community, and always there to support none other than Dr. Tracia Black. So, Dr. Black, first of all, good morning and thank you for taking the time to join us.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. So, Dr. Tracia Davis Black of Groundwater Solutions have been with me from day one, and we're still at it, praying and working towards bigger things. And she's like, I'm there with you, and I appreciate that. I know that you all are working really hard. Last week, you had some updates on some things. I think you were hiring.
Mhm,
You talked about, nonetheless, the numbers had dropped. But
mhm,
one of the things that you said that really stood out is that you all have learned from the last episode, the last outbreak on how to
mhm.
handle labs moving forward. So kind of just bring us up to date on what we need to know concerning where we are with COVID-19.
Well, I think, Tanya, that we are moving. We know that we've been in a pandemic. I think based on the conversations that I'm hearing and sitting in meetings at the state level and local level, we are moving away from a pandemic and believing that COVID-19 will soon become labeled as an endemic. And the
Okay.
difference in that is it's still a severe disease. It's something that we need to be guarding ourselves against. We need to be building our immune system. But an endemic is when um, we have more predictable patterns. We know how to manage the illnesses better. We have effective treatments. And I think, it's taken us a couple of years. We're now 2 years in, but we're learning to manage COVID-19. The laboratories are now prepared. As I said, for our laboratory personally, we are all digitized. We're electronic now. Everything is automated in our laboratory. We've gone away from paper, filling out paper registration, so we don't need the data entry on the back end. Our equipment, machines, and assays or reagents, the chemicals that we're using, we can now process tests in batches very quickly at about a third of the time that we were doing originally. So everything is just faster. Everything is electronic. And I think a lot of labs, the larger labs have already been there. The smaller labs are now catching up. We also know when you contract COVID, what do we need to do? We need to detect early and we need to treat early. And we know what to do, how to help you stay healthy to keep you out of the hospitals.
Well, that's all encouraging news, and that's one of the things we touched on, that we learn and move forward, and that's the beauty of science. So, we know that is going to be around. I surely appreciate you explaining the difference between a pandemic and a endemic.
Endemic. Uh-huh.
Yeah, see, all this language is new for so many of us, but
Hmm.
starting to learn it is what's also, excuse me, pretty important for everyone.
So,
I just
for
appreciate
example, the influenza or the flu is an endemic. We know
okay.
when to expect it. We know that when the times are going to be, we're going to have high spikes. We know how to treat you to keep you safe. So, COVID-19, I've been saying from the beginning, I don't think it's going anywhere
Mhm.
anytime soon, at least for some years. And we now believe that we're going to see different variants, you know. Indefinitely. We don't know that it's going to stop, but we just have to learn to live with it and manage it.
So what about the people who will never ever give in to the vaccine? Should we be concerned about that at all?
I don't believe so. Just like some folks don't ever take the flu vaccine. It's
Right.
some folks do every year and they want to have an extra layer of protection. But there's a whole set of folks who never take the influenza vaccine.
That's a great response to that. So the mask mandate got dropped on Saturday here in Mecklenburg County. Not like it was being enforced anyway, but still, now that it has been dropped, I still see a mixture. We know it's an
Mhm,
individual preference. I
mhm,
still see some people wearing it, and I certainly do at times, and sometimes I forget because
mhm.
just you pop out of your car and pop back in. What are you seeing out and about?
I'm saying exactly what you're saying. I'm saying the majority of folks do not have masks on, and there's still a small set of folks who do. Again, I think it's a personal choice. I think
Mhm.
that everybody has to do what they believe is needed to keep themselves and their families safe. Do know that without a mask, you are more at risk for COVID-19, and you'll have to protect yourself. You'll have to um, get treated if you do contract it, but you're risking by not wearing a mask or an effective mask. Some folks will still put the cloth mask on, which we know not to be effective. So, we do things every day that put ourselves at risk for different things, and unmasking is one of those things that increase the risk for COVID.
Well, you've got some exciting things that are happening with you. We're going to get to that in a moment, but I wanted to talk about you mentioned treatment. I think that's what's so exciting about science, and we're really living through history. And thank God for those of us who have made it. Not that it's over, but I think being more educated about it as we move forward only serves to help. But one of the things, as you just touched on, is treatment. Be prepared for treatment. Of course, the announcement about pills are now available for people that don't want to do the shot. And I shared that we were talking just briefly, and not that you're expected to be an expert on it, but now for the first time, there's a homegrown, plant-based COVID-19 vaccine that's been developed in Canada.
I read about that actually this morning, and I'm
Uh-huh.
seeing that it's developed from moth cells and tree bark. And
Okay.
one of the things that it does that's different from the mRNA vaccines that we have had previously is that it actually it creates the spike protein in the lab, injects it, and it also adds the tree bark, and that boosts your immune system. So it has some added features than the other vaccines. So I'm pretty impressed and want to learn more about it.
Well, and what is also impressive for people that, didn't like the vaccine, now here's something that's plant-based,
Mhm,
described by using a plant that's a close relative to tobacco plants, but
mhm,
it's used for pharmaceutical development. So, that's encouraging news, and hopefully for people that have fears about the medicine side when you start
mhm,
talking plant-based, and
mhm,
certainly that could only be a plus. You last week dropped some real jewels about some of the work that you all are doing, and that I
mhm.
think I heard that you are hiring also. So
We
you
are
wanna touch on that?
hiring, mass hiring. There is such a need. The pandemic has resulted in lots of community issues, mental health issues specifically, and we have folks out there who are hurting. Our phone continues to ring off the hook. We were for months and months getting lots and lots of calls for COVID-19 related illnesses, testing, vaccination. We're now getting calls from families and individuals who are seriously hurting. Um, uh, Depression, anxiety, the stresses, family problems, and we are needing staff, folks who want to learn behavioral health. We need licensed professionals as well as individuals who have a high school diploma, who have lived experience and want to come into this field. We will train you, we will get you certified, and we will support you as you go out and make a difference in people's lives.
So as you're sharing that, the thought that has run through my mind, and this is really kind of hitting home for people that, and you tell me if they're eligible, because there's so many people hiring right now, and for people that are trying to really get income to
Mhm,
earn a living, you mentioned they have
mhm,
to be licensed, or you will train them if they've got life experiences. I automatically think about some of our brothers and sisters who have had to deal with maybe incarceration or have dealt with
mhm,
mental health issues.
mhm,
Are they eligible to come and you will work with them? Because I know from working with the Mecklenburg County Jail, our whole saying is the best person to talk to an inmate is another inmate. So
mhm.
here you
Inmate,
are talking
absolutely.
about somebody that has life experiences. Who better
Mhm.
to talk to another person than that person who's been there?
Absolutely. We have folks on our team already who are formerly incarcerated, and they are some of our most productive and impactful staff members out in the community. So we are absolutely open, regardless of your past background. One of the things, we're with Groundwater Solutions and Genesis Project,
Mhm.
and Genesis Project was started because we believe anybody can start over. It
Right.
doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter where you've been. Doesn't matter what you've done. There are still redeemable qualities. There's still worth and value. And so we will give anybody an opportunity to start over.
So what is the training like? Is it for a year, or kind of give us
Well,
an idea?
so the position that a person who's formerly incarcerated would probably enter is what's called the peer support specialist position.
Mhm.
And peer support specialist is a state certification, University of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Chapel Hill. They manage that certification. It requires a 40-hour training. With a
Okay.
state approved curriculum. There are 20 additional hours that are required, and we typically will do a program called WRAP, Wellness Recovery Action Planning, which
Mhm.
all that is it. If you struggle with depression, then a RAP plan helps you identify your triggers, what causes depression, what are those typical situations, and how do you take care of yourself to make sure that you come out of it. So we train you on the 40-hour peer support class as well as the RAP training. You're then able to obtain your state certification and work in the field. During the first few months, you have a lot of coaching, but you are immediately after that 60 hours, you're getting out there working with individuals.
That is really, really a great opportunity for so many people, and what better way to feel, gratitude or feel grateful
Mhm,
for being able to help someone else. I
mhm,
think that has to be really, really just heartwarming for
mhm,
anyone. So,
mhm.
how do they get started? What do they need to do to if they're interested?
So they can call our office at 704-596-0505, or they can email HR1, which is Human Resources 1 at Genesis Project, the number 1.org.
Wow. Make it very simple and, very easy for people to wanna feel like they should get involved, and, for those of you that hopped on, please share. She just shared some really good nuggets and opportunity for people to get a job. I shout out, one of my followers at Statesville, and they share. They've got 10,000 followers on their page, and I appreciate them every week sharing our message so that we can get it out to people. So, here's a great job opportunity from a great company, and you can see their fearless leader has a heart for the community, and we just appreciate all that you're doing. So, where are you all out today? Are you testing
Mhm.
vaccines? Share with
We
us.
are in our office always Monday through Friday
Mhm.
off of Sugar Creek in the University South Office Park. We are also at University Adult Daycare today.
Okay.
And planning some events over in the Greer Heights community to occur later in the month.
Great, great. Keep us posted on that as well. So, before we let you go, is there anything else, Dr. Black?
No, I just thank you and I appreciate your energy and I appreciate your outreach in helping this community get better.
Oh, ditto on that to you as well, sis. So, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be in touch. All
Okay,
right.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Dr. Tracia Black, everyone. Again, Groundwater Solutions, groundwater-solutions.org, 704-596-0505. And you got to appreciate what she is doing for our community. And there is no reason, guys, right now. I say this over and over and over. Everybody's hiring. There's something for everybody, even if you feel like you're not qualified. She just explained to you they've got an amazing opportunity. And I meant to ask her, what about part-time? If someone wants to even get involved part-time and see if they would be interested in doing, because we know that life can be demanding and it's not a 9 to 5 job. It may not even be a 2 to 10, 2 to 11 job, but you may have a few hours that you want to dedicate to helping someone. You know, what we've continued to do, and I didn't talk a whole lot because we're not experts on this plant-based COVID-19 plant. But if we had a question of the day, and if we were to ask you to please share your thoughts, I would love to know what you feel or what you think about this COVID-19 plant-based vaccine that's being developed or that's being used now. It's been authorized in Canada, and hopefully we'll see it head towards the US real soon. One of the things that I posted or information that I wanted to share was start showing some of these informational videos that are available. I do work closely with Atrium Health as one of their brand ambassadors, trying to encourage and inform our community about COVID-19. And fingers crossed, we're going to keep this going regardless. It's so easy to kind of put this on the back burner again. It only takes a minute to just tune in, 30 minutes on Tuesdays to get this information out. But I want to bring forth an individual who works for Atrium Health who's going to talk about immunity, because you've been hearing a lot about that. At least I have, because so many people have had it by now. They're like, even I made this comment to someone. We've all had it by now. What difference does it make? And of course, I was talking about the Omicron because it just went through households and families like wildfire. And for the most part, a large amount of us have been impacted by it. So I want to share this video from Atrium Health talking about immunity and exactly what that means.
I think that there are some misconceptions about what the word natural immunity means. It's a term we've used actually in infectious diseases and immunology for quite a long time. And typically what happens is when you've been exposed to a virus, your body has some memory and tries to prevent you from getting sick from it again. Unfortunately, though, with COVID-19, we're not seeing that same kind of memory induced from a natural infection compared to what we're seeing with vaccine-induced immunity. The vaccines are triggering a very robust immune response, which actually includes T cells and B cells. B cells are pretty remarkable because they have that memory and they're able to create more antibodies over time, and T cells come in and attack and make sure that you don't get sick. So we know that comparatively speaking, that previously infected folks are at 5 times greater risk of a reinfection compared to people who have been vaccinated. So you can dramatically reduce your risk of reinfection and infection in the first place if you seek vaccination.
And again, that's information that I got from Atrium Health. I'm so grateful for my friends over there. They're very supportive of keeping me informed, keeping me updated. And that was one of their experts speaking on immunity, because so many times people are saying, well, I'm immune to it. I have my own immunity built up. And we do. It's true. We do have, our body is such an incredible just incredible as far as when it comes to your body and science. And so anything attacking it, there is a natural response. So hopefully she has shined some light on that whole issue when you have people even bring that conversation up or have something to say about it. I also want to just put these tips back up again from Atrium Health. Take a moment just to remember that we're still in what we're moving to, as Dr. Black described, as an endemic, but we're still addressing this issue. And if you were trying to figure out what exactly is an endemic, she said compare it to something like the flu, where they're able to predict when it's going to be an outbreak, predict how long it's going to take, how long it's going to last, and also provide the vaccines, in a timely manner. But these are some things here that we really need to make sure that we stay informed about and So you might say, well, that just looks like what it was before when we were dealing with the pandemic. But what harm is it to still be cautious, at least for now? But I got to tell you, it's been a lot of fun to take that mask off. I went out this past Saturday night, date night with hubby, and it was great. We were inside of in a venue that held like 200, and it was fairly closely seated. We were seating fairly closely. It was not up on each other, but it's something that we would not have done a year ago. And the fact that we did it was a friend of my husband's in from the West Coast who a year ago was here as well. And we did not go because of COVID. I think they said only 50 people showed up. This time it's sold out. And, we're okay. There were some people that did have their mask on, as we talked about. It's a personal preference. So some people still had their mask on, but others felt comfortable not wearing them. Now, Dr. Black also touched on one other thing that I want to share with you before I go, and it really involves the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. If I can get this video on, and this is their response, not just to immunity, but it was their response when they were talking about what to expect when it comes to the whole issue of dealing with
Yeah, thank you for the question, and thank you so much for your service to help protect the community. So, of course, we've learned, if nothing else, that we can get curveballs with COVID, and these variants are going to continue to arise until we reach a place, not just in North Carolina, not just nationally, but globally, where more of our population is protected. We're going to continue to see new variants emerge. So that is something that we're going to have to be tracking for. I think the good news from a prevention perspective is that the same things that we recommend people do to protect against the Omicron variant right now are the things that we're going to recommend to protect against future variants. And particularly, you asked about masking, and the effectiveness of masking is really not dependent on this variant or that variant. We've got great data that shows effectiveness both for protecting yourself and for not transmitting virus to others, and that's regardless of variant. So that's a tool that will continue to be effective. Vaccines also have shown to be effective, highly effective, particularly at preventing severe infection, even with Omicron, and we did see somewhat less protection than with past variants. And with the new one you mentioned, which is a new sort of offshoot from Omicron, the BA2 subvariant, the data that we have show that vaccines continue to be effective, particularly at preventing hospitalizations and severe illness. So that's very encouraging. But we are working to make sure we've got our eyes and ears out for new variants, and that's going to be an important focus going forward. So, but good news in terms of masking remains effective, and especially vaccines and boosters remain important, even with the BA2 variant, subvariant.
So there you have it from North Carolina Health and Human Services, our Department of Health and Human Services, and we're grateful. They host this update. They have been hosting it weekly. If you want to join it, there's a webinar. You just go to their social media page on Twitter, and you can hop on. And we're scheduling a guest to come on and talk as well to continue to keep this conversation going. Again, we're not giving up on the whole notion that we're still dealing with what is impacting our community, especially those that have, say, in the high risk group that may have some type of compromised system. Of course, our elders, we have to be on the lookout for that. But one thing that's great to know that we're able to start getting back out and doing things, especially when it comes to faith-based. I know some ministries shut back down. They were meeting weekly and decided we got to, close again, which I think was the wise thing as we had the spike with Omicron. Well, needless to say, I work very closely with the faith-based community and have some events planned. So coming up in March, I'll keep you updated on that. One is our annual event that talks about conflict resolution. And we bring the youth in. We sit with elders from the corporate community, and they talk about how they resolve conflict. We love on them. We actually feed them brunch. It's usually called the gospel brunch because it's usually during the big tournament. It's not here this year, so gave us some flexibility. It's going to be at the end of the month. I'll get you updated information on that. Would love to have your support. Love to have you in attendance. And of course, this week we're going to tie in the whole mental health piece. So again, great to see things starting to open back up and everyone to get involved. And let's be grateful, show gratitude for where we've come from, everything that we've dealt with and where we're heading, and certainly share that spirit of love with everyone else. I always say just check on your neighbor. If nothing else, make sure you do that. We're going to wrap things up. Dr. Tracia Black, as always, a jewel, so helpful, and I so appreciate her. One of our sponsors, Groundwater Solutions, groundwater-solutions.org, groundwater-solutions.org, 704-596-0505. And we can't forget about our good friends over at Mecklenburg County Public Health, mecnc.gov, mecnc.gov, 980-314-9400. Now, you can catch me this Sunday. Did I say Sunday? It's Saturday. I've done Sundays for so long, it just rolls off my tongue. You can catch me this Saturday, 10 a.m. on Praise 100.9 FM. It's called Sounds of Inspiration. So glad to have the opportunity to share with you on Saturdays inside of your midday, your lunch hour. Tune in, information and inspiration. That's what we do. And of course, here at Canceling COVID, you can also find my segment, Tea Time, on Praise 100.9 FM. So grateful for that opportunity as well. As always, life's challenges make you better, not bitter. I'm Tanya Rivens. I will give you about 3 minutes back on your Tuesday, but we certainly appreciate your support for always hopping on, and hopefully we can get you to talk a little bit more with us. But keep in mind, please share this with others. A great day of weather here in the Queen City, so get out and enjoy that as well. Be well, be alert, be safe, and check on your neighbor. And as always, thanks for tuning in to Canceling COVID. If you have a suggestion, a topic, or something I should address, my email, and I'll get that up for you as well, is rivenstanya@gmail.com. Let me get that up so you can jot it down, rivenstanya@gmail.com. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, because together we're going to keep at it, and we plan to cancel COVID. Bye-bye.